Hi there and welcome, Nick Watson here. You may have read a little bit about Ayurveda. Maybe you're curious about the eating part, how to eat according to Ayurvedic principles. Now, that is a big subject, and so I wanted just to give you a very distilled snapshot of the 10 things that I think are important when it comes to eating in alignment with Ayurvedic principles. Of course, all of the system of Ayurveda is around higher consciousness, more mindfulness around eating, and eating in a way that supports your body, because when you eat in a way that supports your body, you're gonna feel better. Not just physically, but also mentally and emotionally. You'll see clearer, you'll think clearer, and just get a little bit more bang for your buck when it comes to your food. So we're going to dive in and think of the journey of food from its source all the way into your body. The top 10 tips that I'm going to share with you follow that journey. So the first thing is, number one tip is to know the source of your food. Just become conscious about where your food is coming from. If you're buying it from the supermarket, have you chosen the supermarket that you're going to? There's different energies of the supermarket, so choose one that you feel you're comfortable with. I like supermarkets that are clean, that are well spaced out, that are well lit. If you have the opportunity to go to an organic farmer's market, maybe you can spend one moment having a nice chat with the farmer, having a chat with the person at the stall. So you start to know the source of your food. The best, of course, is when you are your own food source. And even if, like me, I live in an urban area, I can't, have beds where I'm producing my own produce. I can do one little thing, and that is to grow my own herbs. I can have my jar of sprouts. So at least in some way or another, I'm contributing from my own soil into the food. And that makes me happy, right? There's something very primitive about our food sources. Like, we want to know and feel safe about where our food is coming from. So giving myself the opportunity to know where it comes from is step one. The second is to choose your food wisely. So let's say, for example, you are shopping in a supermarket and you're going to buy, for example, an apple. Use your body to guide you towards the right apple for you. Now, this may sound a little woo-woo and a little bit like, what do you mean? What are you talking about? But believe me, with practice, if you can start to relax your body and let your hands kind of hover around various fruits, vegetables, or so on, your body will tell you exactly which one is right for your body. And it's not necessarily that one is better or worse, but there is an energetic and an intuitive guidance system that most of us have forgotten because we're just busy with the shopping list, like a to-do list, just checking things off without really being conscious. So that's step number 2. Choose your food wisely, especially when it comes to fresh produce. Let your body guide you to the right apple, the right grapefruit, the right banana for you. The third step is, once you have it, is to store your food consciously. So if your fridge is chaotic, messy, if you have everything just bundled into it, you can't see the things at the back, there's stuff that's out of date, there are those old jars of things, pickles, whatever it is that you thought you were going to like but you didn't actually, you have old salad dressings. Take a moment to get rid of all of that. Again, a lot of what we're asking is to become more conscious and become more intuitive about how you're eating, trusting that your body has an intelligence way beyond your mind and your marketing. If your fridge is open and you start to place things in their own separate areas, your body is going to give you signals as to what is right to eat in that moment. So think of your fruits and veggies being like little people, right? Each one has their own section. Don't mix a zucchini with the bananas and the bananas with the oranges, right? Don't have them all higgledy-piggledy. Plan it out so that each little group of friends is together. The fruits are together, the apples are here, the bananas are here, the carrots are here, the zucchinis here, the meat and the other items are in their little group, so that when you open the fridge and you're asking, body, what do you need? There's not just an absolute chaos party going on in there. And getting rid of the things that you don't really use. Oftentimes I make clients do what I call kitchen sadhana. A kitchen sadhana is a kitchen practice where you spend half an hour at the beginning of each month opening your fridge and going through the door where there's just all the stuff that you don't really use and getting rid of it. Believe me, just doing this will already start to shift the signal that you're giving to yourself around how you want to eat, that you want to eat clean, you want to eat in a way that is organized and makes sense as opposed to chaotic and kind of on the run. Step number 4, tip number 4 is prepare your own food. If you look at some of the healthiest populations around the world, they're often cultures where food is still prepared by hand, whether it's in the Mediterranean or in India or perhaps in Mexico, right? There's still very much this hand to food connection. Your hands are connected to your heart, right? If I was to draw a line here, they go out towards the hands. So your hands and heart are actually connected, and they speak to your body's system as you're preparing. Did you know that the oils from the food that you're working with actually will come into the pores in your fingers and send a message to your gut to produce the exact bile that is going to be required to digest that food? It's that amazing. But if we don't prepare our own food with our own hands, we miss that possibility. So using your hands as you food prep will help your digestive system kind of get on board. The 5th tip is to eat according to the seasons. So aligning your food choice with what is going on outside in the big picture nature is the key to balance. In Ayurveda, they talk about something called prajna parada. Prajna parada means an offense against wisdom. Doing things that aren't wise, doing things that don't make sense. Remember, our goal, whether it's in yoga, meditation, lifestyle, anything, Ayurveda is always about balance. So if it's super hot outside and you're blazing, then eating something that will balance that out, eating something cooling. If it's freezing cold outside, again, the balance would be to eat something warming. Most of the time, this happens kind of generally, like we don't need to think too hard about it. But then there are the odd occasions where in the middle of winter, you might be eating ice cream, or the middle of summer, you're eating a hot soup. That is off-putting to the body. So don't let marketing, don't let cultural norms override your own intelligence, your own wisdom. Always check in with your body before you open your mouth. The 6th tip is to eat in line with your dosha. Now, if you don't know what a dosha is, then I highly recommend perhaps doing a dosha quiz online, but also checking out some of the videos I've created earlier in YouTube. It's a way of categorizing your body type based on the 5 elements. If you've done my intro to Ayurvedic living, you should know what your dosha is, and then eating kind of accordingly-ish to that. Rule number 7 is rule of 3 for the stomach. So your stomach is, first of all, I'll show you where your stomach is. Many of us don't know. It's kind of here to the left-hand side of your body, not all the way down at the bottom. And they say that your stomach is as big as your hands. So your hands will give you an idea of, at maximum, what your stomach can go to. In Ayurveda, the kind of cute little expression is eat 2/3 of your stomach and leave 1/3 for your higher power, God, the wisdom of your body, digestion, whatever you want to see. So 2/3 full and 1/3 for God. Number 8 in my top 10 eating tips is to listen to your body, not the marketing. We are being bombarded, especially through TV advertising and so on, around eating. Maybe even some of the things that we think are healthy are not so healthy. I say listen to your body, not to the marketing gurus. You are your own best wisdom guru when it comes to how something feels in your body. I see oftentimes a lot of weird food combinations happening, especially things like fruit, dairy, and granola. Now, at a surface, the picture could look lovely. You know, you have this bowl of yogurt and then there's granola on top and then there's some fruit. It looks lovely, but in terms of the digestive process, you've got 3 very weird and different things going on there. Fruit digests very quickly and goes rancid quickly. The yogurt will turn something sour, so it sours the fruit. And then grains are in fact actually quite challenging to digest. So now you've got something that's in the body that takes a long time to digest with a fermentation process on fruit, which is quick digesting. And the whole thing just leads to a real gassy mess. The other thing that I see that is a cultural norm that happens every time I go to a restaurant is they serve me a glass of iced water. Now, from a digestive point of view, we're trying to keep the fire in our bellies. In Ayurveda, we call this Agni. If your waiter brings you that iced water and you take that iced water before you eat, what's actually happening is you're contracting the stomach. And imagine now you're going to eat a big meal on top of it, but the stomach is not open. So if you need water, and quite honestly, they do recommend that you don't drink water before you eat. You could drink it perhaps a little bit after, but keeping that digestive fire going is key to good digestion. So if you do need a little water before you eat, then avoid the ice, have it at room temperature, and just take a little bit. We want the stomach to be nice and open, the fire going, ready to burn through and use up the nutrients from that food. Number 9 is not so much to do with the food that you're actually eating. We've come a long way from where it's come from. We've come all the way to the point where you're actually eating. This is around being aware of your surroundings, the vibe. Everything is energy. Food is energy, but so is your surroundings. That's why we go to restaurants, because we're choosing to be in a particular energy. We're choosing to be in a particular vibe for a moment. And sometimes that vibe might not be conducive to good digestion. Maybe it's too noisy. Maybe you're in a seat that feels like a little weird. Maybe you're having dinner and there's an awkward conversation going on. All of those things will create tension in the body, which again is really hard when your body is tense to digest. So be aware of the vibe when you eat. Don't eat when you're stressed. Don't eat when you're anxious. Now that may be easier said than done, because sometimes you're going to a dinner, it is noisy, there's a little bit of a stressfulness going on. How can you circumvent that? Well, I'm going to give you a quick tip, and it's a real old-fashioned tip. It's the tip to not maybe out loud say grace, but bring in a feeling of gratitude. and love before you open up and chow down. Even if it's just to yourself, a quiet pause where you take a couple of breaths, you relax your body, you are grateful for everything you can, and that, even just that moment of the gratitude, will expand your field, will expand the belly, will allow the release of the tension and stress. Maybe even taking your hands to your gut, right? If you're sitting at a table, just taking your hands onto your belly, sitting for a moment, tuning out all the craziness around you, if it's that kind of vibe that you're in, and letting your body relax. You'll start to, if you do this regularly, you'll start to feel when your stomach actually talks to you, and it will say, yes, I'm ready. If you are in that place where it's ready, then don't start with huge chunks of food. Start with just testing a little bit of easy to digest stuff, and then let your belly kind of take it, digest it, eat slowly, and so on. You will find that many of your digestive issues, bloating, gas, stomach cramps, belching, heartburn, indigestion, they will start to dissipate if you start to have this relationship with your tummy. The last thing that I want to kind of pull out of all of the Ayurvedic teachings that can help you to eat a little bit better is that time and space do matter. So the times that you eat is the first thing, and there are ideal times during the day when the digestive system is more receptive to eating, when there's more bile in the system, and there's just going to be a lot easier to digest. Those times are between 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. Now, it's not to say that you can't eat out with those times, but if you struggle with digestive issues, try aligning your biggest meal so that it's between 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. This is when the Agni, the fire, is highest in the body, and it's also the same time that the sun is overhead. So you are not just aligning your own bodies with the food, but aligning with the rhythm of the day. In the evening, it's suggested that you eat before 7:30 p.m. Not because you want to, get to bed early, although that is totally recommended as well, but because your body wants to have digested the food before you come to lie down horizontally when it's a little bit more challenging to digest. So that's the timing. What about space? Well, if you are always snacking, eating, and you're not allowing 2 to 3 hours between each of your meals, there's very little space for your digestion or your digestive system, which is a huge powerhouse, to relax. So imagine that you are constantly running your computer and you never switch it off, right? If you're snacking, it's like you're burning its energy up all the time. The digestive system is such that it's either on or off. It's not kind of one or the other. So give yourself 2 to 3 hours between each thing that you put in your mouth. If you're hungry, perhaps drinking a little bit of warm water. And if you really need something, keeping it light, like an easy to digest piece of fruit, something like a peach, a plum, maybe even stewed apples, to keep as minimum of digestion as possible. Making sure that you are also in a place that is comfortable, well lit, and that you can really see your food, enjoy that plate, and have a happy tummy. So all of this I cover in a little bit more in depth in my easy online course, Introduction to Ayurvedic Living. I made this course to give you the principles around Ayurveda in a way that is easily digestible, so that you can start to eat better, because when you eat better, you feel clearer. And I can say that the premise of Ayurveda is that you live a long and healthy life, that food is medicine. So I encourage you to check out my Intro to Ayurvedic Living course and start to educate yourself a little bit more. Let me know how it goes with these top 10 eating tips and which ones you find are the most effective for you. Give it a few weeks, try them out, and let me know in the comments. Thanks for listening. Hari Om, Om Tat Sat. Namaste.